Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit here in Germany, and welcome to the IMSA Sportscar Series. Another round of this very intriguing championship where we've had some brilliant races over the last few weeks. Last week we were at Imola, first day of the new year, and now we're in Germany for an equally demanding challenge for these Daytona prototypes, these German GT3s, and for these rough C specs. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Adam Bath here with Samuli Kumo on the cameras. We continue our marathon of coverage, it seems, over this weekend here on Apex Racing TV. And it's now the turn of the IMSA series to take centre stage on the Apex Racing TV channel. We've got a 45-minute race coming up in not too long, just a few minutes. A mandatory pit stop for all of the guys involved, and what looks like a very big grid for this second race meeting of 2017. Three classes: Daytona prototypes, which is the first class, the German GT3s made up of BMWs, Audis and Mercedes, and the rough C-spec category, which is the third of the three classes. Well, I'll run you through some of the championship standings going into this race meeting. Of course, this is all done automatically by iRacing. Dustin Hickman leads the way in the Daytona prototype category. He's racing today as well. Jake Robson is in second. He too is racing. I think he's just yet to set a qualifying time at the moment. Giovanni Vecchio is in third with Michaela Ricci in fourth. Adam Parler is in fifth with Marco Argidiacono in sixth, currently on provisional second place on the grid. Andra in seventh, Sam Fitzpatrick in eighth, Carl Becker in ninth, and Ilham Halabi rounding out the top 10 there. Moving over to the German GT3s, made up of the BMWs, Audis and Mercedes. We've got Paul Ilbrink leading the way there. Zach Thomas, who won the German GT3s last week at Imola, in second. Daniel Kravaski in third, with Johannes Schafranka in fourth, and Will Amerdorfer in fifth. Alessandro Dalladone in sixth, Sergio Hernando in seventh, Michael Schvedt in eighth, Roberto Schunemann in ninth, and Vedran Kraj in 10th. And finally, in the rough C-spec category, we have got Leonardo Corti leading the way there, David Baraclough in second, Antti Salminen in third, Frederick Spadolini in fourth, Maximilian Scheider in fifth, Dennis Hines in sixth, Johnny Takinen in seventh, Thomas Podbrocki in eighth, and Marcel Fassbender in ninth, and Angelo De Killis in 10th position there. We'll turn our attention to qualifying. 2 minutes to go. Drivers have 2 flying laps in the session to set their best time. Tell you what, it's great to see this IMSA series on a track like the Nurburgring. Dustin Hickman on provisional pole position, 1:46.996 at the moment. Adam Parler in second, Marco Arcidiacono in third, Michaela Ricci fourth, and Juuso Haitala in fifth. In the German GT3s, Paul Ilbrink currently provisional fastest, Alex Saunders in second, Alessandro Dalladone in third, Christoph Kern in fourth, and Luigi Nespolino in fifth. That's quickly changed by Johannes Schafranka, moving himself up to fifth in class with a late lap. And in the rough C-spec, provisional top 5 is Eduardo Prado, with Jürgen Frank in second, and that is quickly changed because Leonardo Corti comes across the line and he puts himself into pole position in the rough C-spec category with a time of 1:58.042. That puts Prado down to second, Jürgen Frank in third, Antti Salminen in fourth, and David Baraclough rounding out the top 5 in the rough C-specs. Not too many cars left to set a time. Amado de Brito just coming out of the final corner. Timing line is there. Comes across the line 1:53.751. That is a personal best for him, but it leaves him 15th place in class and a 23rd overall. And I believe that is everyone else set a time. And in not too long now we'll advance to the race session and we'll get set for a 45-minute race. It is a relatively warm day here in Germany today. 21 degrees ambient temperature, mostly cloudy conditions, track temperature 25 degrees, and relatively normal wind speed conditions here in Nurburgring. And yeah, 17 incidents for these guys, and we did see some disqualifications happen at Imola last week, and some problems when it came to traffic. We had a fantastic battle in the rough C-spec category, really scuppered by the German GT3s getting involved. and that was Giovanni Tonone, who is racing today. Hopefully he'll be able to redeem himself. He's currently starting in 11th place. We're running through the grid then. Cars will have a rolling start at the Nurburgring because it is the IMSA series after all. Dustin Hickman then starts on pole position. Adam Parler in second. Marco Archidiacono starting in third. Michaela Ritchie in fourth. Yuso Heitela in fifth. Sixth, Syandra. Jake Robson in 7th place. Got a 2nd place at Imola last week. And Vendel Para rounding out the Daytona prototypes. 8 of them represented today. And then we've got an abundance of German GT3s. Paul Ilbrink, the series leader in the German GT3, starting on pole position. Alex Saunders second. Alessandro Dalladone in third, with Christoph Kern fourth. Johannes Schafranca was racing last week at Imola in his Audi. He starts in fifth in the German GT3s. Sixth, Luigi Nespolino. Florian Groveman in 7th place. 8th for Marcel Hyman. 9th for Marcel Mose. And 10th, Diogo Catalan. Giovanni Tonone in 11th place, with Michael Borden in 12th. Roberto Schunemann in, that is 13th place in the German GT3s. Juha Pekka Lamy, familiar face of those, Grip TV I do believe, in starting in 14th place. Amado De Brito in 15th place in the German GT3s. Thomas Atari 16th. Anthony Duval in 17th. Matt Shanowski in 18th, Dimitri Nikitsky in 19th place in the German GT3s, Mirko Kaiser in 20th, Daniele Poli in 21st, and Philip Malinos in 22nd. Then into 22 German GT3s, that shows you the popularity of that class. Then the rough C-specs, Leonardo Corti on pole position there, Eduardo Prado second, Jürgen Frank in third, Antti Salminen in fourth, David Barraclough in 5th, Marcel Fassbender in 6th, 7th Timo Escola, 8th Alexandra Martini, 9th Bram Rehenes, and 10th in the rough C-specs we've got Wade Hayes, and just at the back we've got a German GT3 that didn't set a time in qualifying, and that is Filip Malinowski. Cars then on their short formation lap, not too long to get the temperatures built up in the tyres. You'll notice today at the Nurburgring we are using the endurance chicane, which is slightly quicker and you could say takes out a key overtaking spot on the circuit. So drivers won't be able to do the overtake into there, most certainly. Just too quick of a corner now. Rough safety car goes into the pit lane. Classes split up, and here come the 8 Daytona prototypes, led by Dustin Hickman. Out the final corner, the car's squirreling all over the place. Diandra and Jake Robson come together. That is not what they wanted at all. Green flag is in the air, and the IMSA at the Nurburgring is underway. Jake Robson picked up a substantial amount of damage to the front of his car, not what he wanted. Here come the German GT3s. They're all squirreling on the exit of the final corner. The green flag is out for them. Paul Ilbrink leading the way across the line with Alex Saunders second and Christoph Kern in third. And they're all fanning out going into the first corner, which is a tricky spot. And with 22 of these German GT3s, and there's a crash. Marcel Moses turned around by Diego Catalan, and the cars fortunately get out of the way. Here come the rough C-specs across the line to start their race. Eduardo Prado leading the way there, but up the inside, Leonardo Corti looking menacing. He won the class last week at Imola, and he might go around the outside, and he has. So to the lead goes Leonardo Corti early on. Problems for Dimitri Nikitsky. He's got going again, but he's right at the back of the German GT3. So changes for positions there in the early going, and everyone now through that tight arena section at the beginning of the lap and are on their way. Dustin Hickman already gaining a good 0.8 of a second, close to a second advantage over Marco Archidiacono, who's got up to second place. But it is very close, just towards the rear of the Daytona prototypes. We've got Yuso Heitela, we've got Syandra, and we've got Jake Robson all battling for position. Robson up the inside of Andra. These two were battling over second and third place, and they make contacts, and they're both off. Jake Robson off, and Syandra is off as well. They will both get going around about making too much contact with any walls. But here come the German GT3s onto the back straight. Paul Ilbrink leading them down up towards the chicane. And problems for Andrew and Jake Robson right from the get-go. Side by side behind them in the German GT3s. 2 Audis going at it. Florian Groman and Roberto Schumannen. And Juha Pekka Lamy getting involved as well. Oh, he's at the inside. Gore Motorsports car there of Pekka Lamy. And Jake Robson's into the pits at the end of the first lap. Shows you the damage he sustained on the exit of the final corner. Oh, it's just not going his way at all. But that will be a pit stop out of the way for him. And the race is not long enough really to affect tyre life in these cars, so he should be able to fill it up with fuel and get on his way. Roman about to be passed by Anthony Duval. You can see plenty of Audis represented in this field today. And Duval trying to mix it up with Florian Grohmann running that Schaeffler Audi Sport liveried R8 today. And at the end of the first lap, it is Dustin Hickman leading Marco Arcidiacono in the Daytona prototypes by 7/10 of a second. Third is Adam Parler, started second on the grid, down a position. Michaela Ritchie in fourth, Juuso Heitala in fifth, Cy Andrews sixth, and Vendel Para rounding up the top 7 of the Daytona prototypes. Then it's Paul Ilbrink leading the way in his BMW. Second in a Mercedes is Alex Saunders. Then Christoph Kern, Johannes Schafranke in his Audi. And then Luigi Nespolino rounding out the top 5 of the German GT3s. And at the end of the first lap in the rough C-Specs, it is Leonardo Corti leading Eduardo Prado with Jürgen Frank in third, Antti Salminen in fourth, and Marcel Fassbender rounding out the top 5. Diego Catalan working his way back up through the order. He's just taken a position away, 19th place away from Daniele Poli. And in front of them, changed his position between Philip Malinos. As I try to find him on the screen. But yeah, changed his position there in the early going. And we're coming around to complete the second lap of the race now. Tell you what, Marco Arcidiacono is getting pretty close now to Dustin Hickman. Wasn't too far off his personal best on the last lap. Gap between them 7/10 of a second, and they're already starting to stretch their legs away from Adam Parler in third and Michaela Ritchie in fourth. Marco Arcidiacono, memory takes me back to the Le Mans race that we had on Apex Racing TV a few weeks ago before Christmas. I really could have won it there, but I made so many mistakes that he ended up finishing outside the top 10. He was just off whenever we looked at him, but he's doing well today. Problems for Thomas Tattari, who's dropping down the order, German GT3 driver. Was 24th, and you can see the BMW is off. Don't know whereabouts that is. That looks like turn 1. Anyway, it looks like he's got. I think he's got problems with either the. I think he's stuck in neutral. He's got a problem with obviously his hardware. He's got the car going again, and the BMW gets on his way, but he has got a lot of ground to make up. He's behind all of the rough C-Specs pretty much. Not where he wanted in the early going. He's got to get past all the roughs, and then he's going to have to get back onto the German GT3s. Battle for between Eduardo Prado and Jürgen Frank unfolding here in the rough C-Specs on lap 3 of the race for them. Eduardo Prado up 3 positions from where he started. Jürgen Frank in third, and the rough C-Specs always provides great racing, especially at tracks like this. Also saw some great racing between Leonardo Corti and other drivers at Imola last week. And Eduardo Prado just holding his own at the moment here in this battle for what is a second in class. And you can see not too far behind them, Antti Salminen and Marcel Fassbender. Michaela Ritchie taking a battle for third place in the Daytona prototypes. Michaela Ritchie and Adam Parler going at it in the arena section. This is allowing Juuso Heitala to close in as well. So we've got a spot for really the final spot on the podium unfolding here. Michaela Ritchie getting past Adam Parler, started second on the grid. Adam, and he's now dropped down to 4th place, and he might be under pressure from Juuso Heitala in the not too distant future. And so many battles unfolding in the German GT3s. Luigi Nespolino going side by side with Johannes Schafranke. And Alessandro Dalladone also in the mix as well. And that's the Mercedes taking advantage. That is Dalladone. He's trying to get past Luigi Nespolino going into the S-Benz here at the Nurburgring, rounding outside. This is something Fernando Alonso did on Felipe Massa a good 10 years ago now in the German Grand Prix. Of course, that famous race where Marcus Winkelhock got to lead a few laps in the torrential conditions. Dalladone up the inside, but Luigi Nespolino is far enough ahead to close off the attack, but Nespolino's back up the inside. Oh, that's close to contact, and you can see Shafranka flashing the lights. Nespolino just holding his ground going into the Michael Schumacher S-Benz. Daladone, is he going to have a look up the inside? He is, and up the inside he goes. And he is through, and I've just realised I've been on a replay all this time, so yeah, you saw it before I did. Alessandro Daladone through into 4th place in class, and this might now mean that Luigi Nespolino is at the mercy of for Shafranka, who goes around the outside into the chicane. And what was I saying at the beginning of the show about not being any overtaking going into that bend? We just saw it there. Brilliant move by... Yeah, oh no, as Marcel Heyman gets into the back of Shafranka, and that's going to mean he too loses a place to Luigi Nespolino. Great racing here in the early going in the German GT3s. Luigi Nespolino flashing the lights at Johannes Shafranka. Tell you what, if I had that ability on the steering wheel, then I would be doing it all the time as well. Shafranka then up into 5th place now, a gain of 1 spot. Alessandro Daladone back to where he started. He's now in 4th. And there's quite a bit of a gap now between Daladone and Christoph Kern, who is 3rd in the German GT3s. Then it's Alex Saunders in 2nd, and then a long way up the road, Paul Ilbrink, a World Championship licence for him as well. Most likely races in the Blancpain Endurance Series that unfolds throughout the year. Alex Saunders going very wide on the exit of the S's there, the man 2nd in the German GT3s. He'll be under pressure in a moment from the Audi of Christoph Kern. Kern having a little look at the inside there, going into the hairpin. Just to give you an idea of the lap times these guys are doing, it's 1:47s or 48s for the Daytona prototypes. And battle between Juha-Pekka Lamy in the German GT3s. In fact, it might be a problem for Pekka Lamy. The core motorsports car got an issue, and it might be a bit of contacts just looking on the replay going into the hairpin. Looks up the inside of Roberto Schumacher. The two come together, and it is definitely the car of Pekka Lamy that comes off the worst for wear, losing a few positions. Problems for Michele Ricci as well. Ricci was in 3rd place. He's now being shown as 5th overall, and he lost it on his own going into the 1st corner. Easy to do. Fortunately, he doesn't collect any of his Daytona prototype competitors, but Michele Ricci now on his way again. He is now in 5th place. And of course, this elevates Adam Parler and Juuso Heitala up some positions as well. But back to the lap times, 1:47s being done by the Daytona prototypes, 1:52s/53s being done by the German GT3s, and 1:58s being done by the Roughs. As Heitala has a look up the inside of Adam Parler going into the hairpin. Side by side they go, and that looks like Heitala has got the 3rd place, but the inside line will quickly come in favour of Adam Parler. Oh, and surely he's going to go off. Juuso Heitala puts 2 wheels into the gravel and somehow is able to rescue it. This all allows Michele Ricci to close back in on these guys, and this allows Adam Parler through. So Parler back up into 3rd place. Juuso Heitala looks like he's going to be under pressure from Michele Ricci in a not too distant future as they head onto the back straight. Exciting battles unfolding here in the opening 10 minutes of the race. Of course, we're missing Jake Robson from this battle. He had to take an early pit stop after contact out the final corner before we even got to the line to start the race, and then was involved in further contacts with Syandra later in the opening lap of the race. Syandra not too far away from these guys now, and is lapping quicker than them. 1:47.8 last time around for Syandra, 1:48.2 for Michele Ricci, 1:50.6 as they come across the line for Juuso Heitala, and 1:50.3 for Adam Parler. And that's Syandra coming across the line doing a 47.9 as well. 3 seconds quicker than Heitala and Parler on that last lap alone. He could be with these guys in a few laps. Michele Ricci trying to get back past Juuso Heitala here. 1.8 seconds between Dustin Hickman and Marco Archidiacono. Let's head back to the German GT3s. All easy going for Paul Ilbrink at the moment. Alex Saunders in 2nd, started to pull away a little bit now from Christoph Kern in 3rd. Alessandro Daladone in 4th, but a battle here between Johannes Shafranka and Luigi Nespolino. Nespolino wants that position back, and he's bringing along Marcel Heyman, who makes a bit of a mistake into the 1st corner, but Nespolino in his Audi Vivano Racing Team livery? No, Team TGT. Very similar, of course. Going through the arena section, brought about at the Nurburgring in about 2002. Before that, we just had the S-bends at the beginning of the lap. Wasn't really an overtaking spot, however, it did provide some action. I believe the two Schumacher brothers getting together in 1997, and Pedro Diniz getting flipped over there in 1999. Of course, the same race where Johnny Herbert and the Stewart team were able to take a victory before becoming Jaguar the following year. Anisha Franca getting a bit more comfortable now. Luigi Nespolino just dropping back a few car lengths on the exit of the hairpin. And behind them, behind that trio, another train headed by Giovanni Tonone, then an App Sport liveried Audi driven by Florian Grohmann, then Anthony Duval, then another Audi in Roberto Schumannen, and then Amadou De Brito with Michael Borden and Yuka Pekalami, who's trying to get some positions back. And now let's check in the rough sea specs. Leonardo Corsi hasn't been able to escape so far. Jürgen Frank, who's now in second place in the rough sea specs, still giving him a run for his money. Eduardo Prado third, and Marcel Fassbender fourth, and behind him we've got Jake Robson, who made that early pit stop at the end of the very first lap of the race, working his way through the field quite gingerly, doesn't want to pick up any more damage, gets past Marcel Fassbender there going into the Schumacher S's, and then he will get past Eduardo Prado. That's that one ticked off. Just going into these two 90-degree corners, this one left and then a 90 right, and then we're onto the back straight. We'll get past Jürgen Frank, and he's slowly but surely working his way back through the field, and he shouldn't need to make any more pit stops. But then again, we don't really know how the fuel works in this series. He actually might need to make another pit stop. It all depends on the fuel that iRacing provides and the amount of fuel that gets burnt off during the race. Well, that's intriguing. Michael Borden and Juha Pekalami having a battle here. Pekalami continues his surge through the field, so we've got a few battles to watch here from drivers that lost it early on and are having to work their way back through the field. Michael Borden leading the way in his Mercedes, Juha Pekalami in his Audi. Also track used in the Nurburgring 24 Hours. They combine the Nordschleife and the Grand Prix circuit. Going into the Schumacher S's, no advances just yet by Pekalami. But last time around he did a 1:54.2. Michael Borden doing the similar lap times as well. But if you look at the best times they've done over the entire race, Juha Pekalami 1:53.5, 53.9 done by Michael Borden. And Pekalami closes in just a little bit more through the second part of the lap. Could he have an opportunity into the final hairpin, or if not then into turn one? Very hard chicane to get right, but he's closed in now on the Mercedes, but just no way through. Meanwhile, just in front of those guys, oh, crash! Schumannen into the wall, and is facing the middle of the pack, and they have to scatter, does Pekalami and Michael Borden. Looking back on the replay there, it was a famous quarter panel with a Mercedes. It was Giovanni Tonone, the man that was involved in the crash with the rough sea specs last week at Imola. Quarter paneling Schumannen, and he won't be happy one bit. That hasn't changed though, the battle between Pekalami and Michael Borden. The Mercedes still holding on here ahead of the Core Motorsports car. Good run on the exit though does Pekalami, but this left-hander isn't really an overtaking spot. It's just so quick. Really got to be alongside and almost clear if you want to get a move done. Florian Grohmann getting past Marcel Hyman, and Hyman might be at the mercy of Anthony Duval here. BMW having to go on the defensive. The Audi quick in a straight line, of course. And Hyman trying to just move him gently off the racing line. Some good defensive driving there. But he's not had the best entry at all into the Schumacher S's. And could be under pressure from Anthony Duval in his Audi as the leaders start to lap the rough sea specs. And of course, these guys will have to watch out for the pit stops, because that really does change the race. Cars having to pit on different laps, and if you do pit earlier, you can get out of the way, maybe get away from the traffic that you might be encountering, and then you might be able to leapfrog some cars that you're battling with. The Daytona prototypes here having to negotiate the rough C-specs, and this is really becoming a bit of a problem for Adam Parler, for Juuso Heitala, and for Michaela Ricci. Anthony Duval into the pits, incidentally, at the end of that lap. Don't know whether that was a problem for the Audi or maybe he was involved in a crash. Just going to have a look. No, it was a pit stop, so we've got 27 minutes to go in the race. And yeah, Anthony Duval into the pit lane. That'll be interesting to see if he's able to gain any positions towards the end of the race by pitting early. Meanwhile, this battle for third in the overall positions, the Daytona prototypes, Adam Parler and Juuso Heitala. Very close here going into the final corner, the hairpin. Known as the Coca-Cola curve, I don't know if it's still known as that, but they're just negotiating. That is the rough C-spec leader, Leonardo Corti. Fortunately, able to negotiate him down the front straight. And also Michaela Ricci trying to get up the inside of the rough as well into the first corner. Leonardo Corti not giving him too much space, but the Daytona prototype is able to get through, and they're now safely on their way. Anthony Duval is off in front of them. The Audi just emerged from the pit lane. 12.6 second stop. And that is what happens on cold tyres. From my understanding, the drivers don't change the tyres during the pit stop, but you're sitting there in the pit box, and it does give the car time for the tyres time for them to cool down. And Anthony Duval getting slightly caught out there. He's the last of the German GT3s running at the moment, I do believe. He's in 18th place overall in the German GT3s, 25th if you include everyone else. And Adam Parler then, once again trying to hold off Juuso Heitala going into the Schumacher S's. Adam Parler did start second on the grid. They're coming up on Anthony Duval now. Could this play a factor in this battle? This trio of Daytona prototypes trying to get past the Audi here. Anthony Duval trying his best, but he's taking the racing line, and this could catch out the drivers. As up the inside goes Michaela Ricci. He's through into fourth place, catching Juuso Heitala unawares there, and here comes Syandra. We could have four cars now battling for the Daytona prototype third spot. Here comes Ricci up the inside into the chicane, and Adam Parler turns in, but this is really going to affect Michaela Ricci because you'll lose so much speed if you're on the wrong line in that chicane. And Syandra, now the man in sixth place. We've got third down to sixth, all represented in this battle, and you can just see in the background Wendell Para in that Marlboro liveried Daytona prototype. Don't rule him out of possibly getting involved as well if these two start, if this four start knocking spots off each other. "24 minutes to go in this race. We're approaching the halfway mark here today in this 45-minute IMSA race at the Nurburgring. Adam Baff here with Samuli Kumo on the cameras. We've also got the Mazda MX-5s coming up later tonight. I'll be there with Dave Christie. I believe we're at Watkins Glen for that one, but I might have to double check there. But either way, the Mazda provides great racing. The Mazda MX-5. Here comes Michaela Ricci then. He was in third place at one point, and he wants to get back to where he was before he had that spin at the first corner a few laps ago. And we are approaching the pit stop window here. Last time at Imola, Alexander Voss, who was the eventual winner in the Daytona prototypes, did pit at the halfway mark in the race. Luigi Nespolino has pitted in the German GT3s. His Audi has just made its way into the pit lane. There's some cars starting to think about making a pit stop here. And that's sensible thinking from Nespolino, because he was battling away with Shafranka, and he might use this pit stop window to try and undercut his fellow Audi competitor. Here comes Michaela Ricci then up the inside into the chicane. Is he going to get it done this time? Parler will turn in as he did on the last lap, and Michaela Ricci not able to get through at all, as into the pit lane will go Juuso Heitala, the first of that quartet to blink, and he will go into the pit lane and get his fuel and service done. About 36 seconds in the pits were the German GT3s. We'll see what sort of pit stop times and pit lane times the Daytona prototypes make. Jake Robson, just as an example, he was in the pit lane for 32.7 seconds, a 7.1 second stop. Oh, as off goes Michaela Ritchie. Car snapped away from him on the entry into turn 2. Oh, he had the rear wheels in the grass, the left rear wheel in the grass anyway. Burn up the tyres, and he was able to catch it. Thank God for runoff areas, he must be saying. Gets going again, but he's now behind Syandra. 6.6 second stop for Juuso Heitala. 30-second pit lane time as well. So that is the number to watch out for when the rest of the Daytona prototypes come in over the next few laps. None of the rough C-specs have come into the pit lane yet. That'll be another one to watch out for. We'll check in on the rough C-specs momentarily. Leonardo Corsi still leading the way. He's got a 4-second lead over Jürgen Frank, 6 seconds back to Eduardo Prado, and then a good half a second to Marcel Fassbender. So those guys relatively close. Juha-Pekka Lamy in the German GT3s comes into the pits. He'd had a pretty eventful race so far, and now he comes into the pit lane to get his service done. The Daytona prototypes are just making their way through the final chicane again. Are any of them going to take the opportunity to pit? No, they're all staying out again. There's some interesting strategies being thrown here. 11.3 seconds for Pekka Lamy, and he is just emerging from the pit lane now. He'll be behind Thomas Tatari, who has yet to make a pit stop, and is going to emerge. Pekka Lamy just in the middle of this battle in the Daytona prototypes, and Michaela Ritchie had to take not the best line going into the first corner, and you can see the cars in front of him that he's got to get past once again. Syandra, Adam Parler, and I wonder what lap times Juuso Heitala has been doing. That was his first lap out of the pits, 2 minutes 14 of course. It is his out lap. What a performance this has been from Dustin Hickman though. Leading the way in the Daytona prototypes. He is the leader in the championship as well. Jake Robson second in the championship. He's had his work cut out today, having to make an early pit stop. Not what he wanted at all. Second place is Marco Arcidiacono, not too far away, 3 seconds behind Dustin Hickman. And then it's 13 seconds back to the next Daytona prototype, and now is of course that battle that we were watching a few laps ago between Adam Parler, Syandra, Michaela Ritchie. And Hickman negotiating the chicane. Is he going to come into the pits on this lap? No, he stays out. In front of him into the pits was the Audi of Filip Malinowski. Malinowski on his own really in this race today. And into the pits goes Marco Arcidiacono, and he looks very close to hitting the wall there. Did he actually hit it? Oh, it just clipped the curb on the entry into the pit lane. Marco Arcidiacono then, second place. Might get an early pit stop and try and set some quick laps afterwards, and he might be able to leapfrog Dustin Hickman. 3 seconds in this IMSA race isn't too much. Alexander Voss did have Jake Robson for company in the IMSA race last week at Imola. Juuso Heitala was in the pit box for 6.6 seconds. That is a longer stop by Marco Arcidiacono, and nearly emerging into the path of Filip Malinowski. I wonder if Juuso Heitala has timed it right on the fuel. We were doing IMSA the other week at Road America, and fuel definitely was an issue. Drivers need to be aware that the iRacing service does give a bit of leeway when it comes to timed races. If you cross the line with about if you're getting to the final corner with about 5 seconds on the clock and the clock reaches 0, it will still let you do another lap. And at races like Indianapolis last year, the drivers getting caught out in big style. German GT3s, I think the cars were limping across the line, literally on fumes. That's 2 of the Daytona prototypes in. Poor Jake Robson, he's 36th overall. He's had to make a second visit to the pits, probably because he couldn't make it home on the fuel tank that he's got. So he's now 36th overall, 8th in the Daytona prototypes, and it's going to be a write-off for him, but he will still get some points. Alessandro Dalladone comes into the pits. Also into the pit lane comes Michael Borden. in his Mercedes. And Dalladone and Borden relatively close on track at the time. German GT3s usually spending about 11 or 12 seconds in their pit box, and that corresponds to a 36-second pit stop time. Michaela Ritchie and Syandra battling away now, and into the pits come Adam Parler and Syandra. They're virtually together. Now it's all going to be about who picks the most amount of fuel to get them to the end of the race, and that could determine who gets out of this pit lane first. It's going to be an interesting race off the pit lane here. Adam Parler, the first of the Daytona prototypes in, and Syandra, the car directly behind him. Syandra hits his marks, Adam Parler as well. 6 seconds for Heitler. We'll see if they are able to top that pit stop time. 8 seconds for Syandra, 8.9, slightly slower stop for Adam Parler. They get away, and where is Heitler? There is Heitler, so Heitler might be able to get both of them here. The undercut has definitely worked, and Juuso Heitler now into 5th place with Adam Parler and Syandra dropping down positions, and effectively this puts them in third. Heitler into 3rd place now. It all depends on Michaela Ritchie. What can he do on this lap and other laps after that, because there's no certainty that he's going to pit on this lap. Into the pits comes our German GT3 leader, Paul Ilbrink, and Alex Saunders as well. Saunders not too far behind, a rough in the way of him, and that is Alexandra Martini. Martini pulls into his pit box. We've got another Audi in as well, Christoph Kern. I think that was 3rd place. The top 4 in the German GT3s are all in. Johannes Schafranco also in, Florian Grohmann and Marcel Hyman all in as well. Expect Giovanni Tonone to pit it. No, Giovanni Tonone stays out, so he is the only one of the German GT3s at the front, in this front group anyway, not to make a pit stop on this lap. If Tonone starting lap 16. Some interesting pit stop strategies being thrown here. Second in the Daytona prototypes is coming into the pits, Michaela Ritchie. Now this is going to be interesting. We'll see where he comes out in response to Juuso Heitler, Adam Parler and Syandra. Has he been putting in the quick laps? Denzel Parra also in, and that pretty much completes all of the Daytona prototypes apart from Dustin Hickman, who is definitely running long into this race. Michaela Ritchie stops. 7.7 seconds. Where are the rest of them? Heitler, no sign of them yet. Heitler's there. Michaela Ritchie looks like he's been able to get past them all. And he has, and look at this Audi traffic that Heitler's going to have to negotiate to try and get to Michaela Ritchie. It looks like that staying out has worked for Michaela Ritchie. And there you go, 2 examples of strategy being thrown right there. We had the undercut being done by Juuso Heitler to get past Syandra and Adam Parler, and Michaela Ritchie staying out, setting the quick times in clear air and getting past all of them. Look at this battle though. We've got Audis, 3 Audis here, and the Daytona prototypes all there as well, and we've got a rough just for good, thrown in there for good measure as well, in Wade Hayes. This is Luigi Nespolino getting chased by Anthony Duval whilst the Daytona prototypes try to lap him. Adam Parler up the inside of Duval there. And Syandra now trying to get past the Audi as well. And this is going to be good for Adam Parler. Oh, Syandra moving to the outside on the exit of the hairpin. Adam Parler goes around the outside of Nespolino through the Schumacher S. And Syandra should be able to get past that other Audi of Nespolino as well. Giovanni Tonone into the pits, 2nd place at the moment, but where he is after the pit stop, who knows? Apart from him, Dmitry Nikitsky is the other German GT3 not to make a pit stop so far in this race. He too comes into the pit lane now. Giovanni Tonone, who before he made his pit stop was leading the German GT3s. Out of the pit lane he goes. He should be in just behind this squabbling duo here of Amado De Brito and Juha-Pekka Lamy. So plenty of battles unfolding here after the pit stops have been completed. Dustin Hickman, he's been on his 17 lap stint now and is yet to make a pit stop with 13 minutes left in this race. There's some interesting battles battle lines getting drawn here in the final part of the race. Well, we've still got the rusty specs to make some of them to make their pit stops anyway. Leonardo Corsi has just pitted. He's on his way now. In fact, I don't think he actually visited his pit box. He hasn't had a pit stop time on my timing screen anyway. He was in the pit lane for 32 seconds. Just double check that he actually served a pit stop. Leonardo Corsi. He did, so that is fine. 9.3 seconds. Glitch on my timing screen, but yeah, we've still got the majority of them all to pits. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 of the roughs have come in out of the 10 of them represented in this field today. Dustin Hickman is into the pits then. Finally, the overall race leader and leader of the Daytona prototypes comes into the pits. And of course, it's going to be a shorter pit stop for him. He doesn't have to put on as much fuel as the guys before him. 6.7 second stop, and he's away. 26-second pit lane time. Really shows there. Very, very good pit stop there by Dustin Hickman. And he emerges with what looks like a 8-second lead or so over Marco Archdiacono. So he's been able to extend his lead during the pit stops. And as long as he plays the traffic well, he could be en route to what says here on my information as his 9th win of the season. Of course, the drivers can take part in as many races as they want over the week. Doesn't have to be on this particular day, but this is the day that we showcase the IMSA Sportscar Series for you on Apex Racing TV. Races pretty much every other hour. If you want to get involved in the iRacing service, head over to iRacing.com and you can get involved then. Purchase the necessary content, and you too could be racing in the IMSA Sportscar Series. All you need is a relatively good PC and a wheel and pedal set as well. You can use it on a controller. But we do recommend getting a wheel and pedal set. We're running through the top 5 then after the pit stops have been completed. Well, for the top 2 classes anyway. Dustin Hickman leads Marco Archdiacono by 7 seconds. Then third is not Jacob Robson. Third is Michaela Ricci with Yusa Heiseleit in 4th. Adam Parler in 5th. They're still negotiating the traffic. And Syandra very close to Adam Parler in 6th place with Vendel Parra in 7th. Paula Brink leading the way in the German GT3s. 2nd, Alex Saunders. 3rd, Christoph Kern, Alessandro Dalladone 4th, and Johannes Schafranker in 5th. Then in the Rough C-Spec category, Jürgen Frank is leading the way. He's still yet to pit. Battle in the Daytona prototypes, we should really look at that. Adam Parler has been passed by Syandra, and Andra has really pulled quite a bit of an advantage in the last few laps, in the last few corners, sorry. And looking at the replay, looks like that Juha Pekalami has got a piece of the action here, tapping the left rear of Adam Parler. In the Daytona prototypes, Parler flashing the lights in frustration. And yeah, Adam Parler now down to 6th place after starting 2nd on the grid. Syandra through into 5th place. This could be interesting. Parler flashing the lights, probably gesticulating in real life to Juha Pekalami as he gets past the Audi and puts a lap on that German GT3 car. But yeah, as that was about to happen, whilst that was happening, sorry, I was going to talk about the Rough C-Spec. Jürgen Frank yet to make a pit stop. Neither has Eduardo Prado, Timo Escola and Bram Reniers. Leonardo Corsi though still leading the way. Where is Marcel Fassbender though, because he is effectively right behind him. Quite a bit of a gap actually. Leonardo Corsi just going through the Schumacher S's now. Marcel Fassbender, who is the 2nd of the cars to have made a pit stop, just made one in fact. This is just his outlap. He's quite a way behind. So you really can say that Leonardo Corsi's got it all in check here. Race going into the final 10 minutes now, just under 9 minutes to go here. Oh, Marcel Fassbender nearly losing it. Angelo Merkel, we saw last week him at Imola, putting the car in sorts of positions like that. Some classes have now spread out. Jürgen Frank, Eduardo Prado and Timo Escola all come in. We'll see if Bram Reniers comes into the pits as well. He does too, so all of the roughs coming into the pits now. And that pretty much rounds off. Every single driver has now made a pit stop in this race. Leonardo Corsi comes across the line, shows you how far ahead he was of those guys. Jürgen Frank just gets going on his way. Is he going to be in 2nd place though? Looks like it. And Eduardo Prado is going to come out in front of Marcel Fassbender. That's Fassbender down to 4th in class. And all the other roughs out. David Barraclough now out. Timo Scola has completed his pit stop as well. Some of the biggest movers we've had in this field today. We've had Christoph Kern up 2 positions, Juha Pekalami up 7 spots from where he started, Amado De Brito up 7 spots too, up 9 positions, Philip Malinos. Malinos, I don't think he actually set a time in qualifying. Did the German GT3 driver? There's a try to find it on the screen. But yeah, Malinos, fantastic job, up 11 positions, doing a good job. Malinowski, I should say. Dear me, that is the timing screen cutting off the names. Philip Malinowski up from 40 up to 21st. Didn't set a time in qualifying, I do apologise, dear me. But yeah, into the final 6.5 minutes. Jake Robson still continuing his fight through the field. This is pretty resilient stuff from Jake Robson. He's not really racing anyone here, he's just getting past them all. Still, it will be pretty entertaining because these are all cars that are slower than him, as off goes Eduardo Prado, man in 3rd place in the rough C-Spec category. That's another easy position for Jake Robson, and there's Marcel Fassbender getting past him as well. So quite a costly error there for the rough of Eduardo Prado. Now this could be an interesting battle as we head down the front straights. The rough starting lap 20 of their race. Prado looking to the outside of Fassbender. He wants to immediately get his position back. And now this puts Marcel Fassbender into a podium position in the rough C-Spec category. See if we can find any battles in the... I just want to focus, still see if this rough battle is going to get resolved. Eduardo Prado's got a good run out of the arena section into the Estes Benz here, and you can see Juuso Heitala and Syandra are now bearing down on these two as well. Hopefully it doesn't go as badly as the roughs when the German GT3s came up on them at Imola last week. Heitala up the inside into the hairpin. Fassbender passed there by the Daytona prototype. Syandra should get past Eduardo Prado and should also get past Marcel Fassbender. So that rough battle, relatively undisturbed from the presence of the Daytona prototypes. That's the BMW of Marcel Mose getting past. And Adam Parler in 6th place. It's now his turn to try and get past these rough C-Specs. If anything, the BMW Marcel Mose, as Fassbender puts 2 wheels into the gravel, this BMW Marcel Mose is disrupting this rough battle. Marcel Mose having an issue getting by here as Syandra. Where's he gone? He's through. Adam Parler through there. And now 4 minutes to go. In the background, Johannes Schafranca and Florian Grohmann are relatively close together. 2 Audis there. Schafranca was racing at Imola on New Year's Day last week. And Florian Grohmann in that App Sport liveried Audi. Justin Hickman's gap, 8.5 seconds. Michaela Ritchie in 3rd. 4th, Juuso Heitala. Syandra right with him now, and they're trying to negotiate the rough traffic, and this has not worked out at all well for Syandra. He's got roughs to his right, he's got a Merc to his left in front of him, and if he wanted to get past Juuso Heitala, I think with 3.5 minutes left on the clock, he's got his work cut out now. And it shows you there, the traffic can be your friend, but it can also be your enemy, and Syandra really coming a cropper of the traffic on this lap 23 for the Daytona prototypes. Dimitri Nikitsky and Thomas Tatari are having a battle. BMW versus BMW, and Just so we say, we have represented we have shown every single driver in the field today. This is over 17th and 18th place in class. Oh, Nikitsky doing some pretty resolute defending there. Tom Satari's going to have his wits about him if he wants to get past this BMW. He's 2 on lap 22. Tatari gets a good run. Nikitsky doing moving the car across. Up the inside goes the BMW. And that is Thomas Tatari through. Tatari into 17th place. Nikitsky down to 18th. Final few laps for these guys. This is the penultimate lap of the race. 2 minutes and 20 left on the clock. And it's an interesting race, but I definitely would say that since the pit stops, things have definitely calmed down now. And it's been relatively easy for all of our leaders. Dustin Hickman has led pretty much every single lap. And I think actually he has, because he was the last of the Daytona prototypes to pit. Paul Ilbrink has pretty much led every lap there in the German GT3s. Hasn't had much to worry him as the BMW man. And Leonardo Corti has been pretty much in control of the rough C-specs as well. Tell you what, it's literally no surprise that all three of these leaders are the top of their relative championships. Leonardo Corti definitely loves racing in this championship. Over this season, this is only round 4 of the season, and he's already picked up 30 wins along the way. Shows how dominant he's been. Dustin Hickman comes across the line to start the final lap of the race. He's just going into the first corner now. Marco Diacono in second, Michele Ricci on his own now in third place. Juuso Heitler in fourth, Syandra fifth. And then Adam Parley in 6th. These guys starting their final lap of the race now. Don't think no one's had any issues with fuel just yet. Interesting about Heitler though, he was only in the pits for 6.6 seconds. Could be interesting to see if he can make it back home. Compared to the other times that the Daytona prototypes did. Archdiacono 8.8, Ricci 7.7, Syandra 8.0. Adam Parler 8.9, Venzel Para 8.7. The only car that did a similar pit stop time was Dustin Hickman, and he pitted a good 6 laps after Juuso Heitler. It'll be interesting to see if he can make it back home. Final lap of the race though for these guys now. Clock ticking down to 0. And Dustin Hickman on his way to taking a deserved victory here. Heading on his way towards the chicane now. Started on the pole position, was able to hold his own going into, and look, he's celebrating already, flashing the lights, weaving across, going into the final chicane. Whoa! I think that's the only thing he's done wrong all day. And I'm sure he'll be very disappointed that we caught that on camera. Through the final corner he goes, checker flag in the air, and Dustin Hickman takes the win in the IMSA at the Nurburgring. Juuso Heitler is off! And I was talking about fuel being his issue, but I think he's just made a mistake on his own. Spinning the car, gets going again, and he loses a place to Adam Parler. Marco Archdiacono takes second place. Michele Ricci is going to come through the final corner now and take third. And Syandra takes an unexpected 4th place. I said a few laps ago that the traffic had really hampered him, but he comes through there and takes 4th. And Adam Parler will come across the line in 5th. Juuso Heitler dropping down to 6th. Giovanni Tonnone's been involved. He's off and he's got a whole load of damage to the front of his car. And what had been a relatively clean race for everyone. He was lapping a rough. The car got unsettled and Tonnone goes into what looks like a concrete wall. We will get going again, but that's not what we wanted at all. Race victory in the German GT3s goes to Paul Ilbrink. He takes the win there. Second for Alex Saunders, Christoph Kern third, Dalladone 4th, and Shafranka 5th. Michael Borden side by side for the line with the Audi of Anthony Duval, and across the line they go, and it is just Michael Borden at the line. Victory in the roughs goes to Leonardo Corti, drifting his way on the cool-down lap, taking a victory there. Jürgen Frank second, and Marcel Fassbender third after what was a crucial error for Eduardo Prado through the chicane a few laps ago, which we saw, and Thomas Tattari completes the finishing order. Well, let's run you through the race results then. Dustin Hickman takes the win, time of 45 minutes and 31 seconds. Marco Archidiacono in the end 9 seconds behind. Michaela Ricci finishing in third, fourth Syandra, fifth Adam Parler, and sixth Juuso Heitala, seventh for Vendel Para. Then it's Paul Ilbrink who takes the German GT3 win. Alex Saunders second, third Christoph Kern, fourth Alessandro Dalladone, and fifth for Johannes Schafranca. Sixth for Florian Grohmann, seventh for Marcel Hyman, eighth for Juha Pekalami, ninth for Amadeo de Britton, and 10th Luigi Nespolino. Michael Borden 11th, 12th Anthony Duval, 13th Philip Malinowski, Giovanni Tonone in 14th, Matt Szynoski in 15th, 16th Mirko Kaiser, Thomas Tattari 17th, and Dmitry Niskitsky in 18th. Then you can see Jake Robson 26th overall. Leonardo Corsi wins the rough sea specs, Jürgen Frank second, third for Marcel Fassbender, fourth Eduardo Prado, fifth for David Berkloff, sixth for Timo Scola, seventh Antti Salminen, eighth for Bram Reniers, ninth Alexandro Martini, and 10th for Wade Hayes. And in the cars that got hit during the race, Marcel Mose, Roberto Schumanen, Daniele Poli, and Diego Catalan out early on. Well, we have got an interview today, and it is Alessandro Dalladone, who got 4th place, and he joins us now in the commentary box. Alessandro Dalladone, well, talk us through your race. You started 11th on the grid, but managed to get through and finish 11th as well.
Yeah, nice race. First race since a long time here in the IMSA soft race, so it was pretty new for me. Had a awesome qualifying session, but I screwed up already before turn 1. I almost spun exiting the last turn of the pace lap, but yeah, nice fight with Luigi and other guys. Good pace, really fun. Well done to all competitors, and Paul for winning the GT3 class, Leonardo in the rough, and also to Dustin, always freaky fast as usual.
What was the strategy element like? Do you prefer to pit early and get the pit stop out the way, or do you pit later on?
Well, this is tough because honestly, there is no real good strategy. You have always to, how do you say, try to figure out at that moment what you need to do. It's only about not catching slower guys during the first 2-3 laps. That's the critical one, where you need to push really hard to try to pass the other guys. I tried to do so with Christoph, but didn't work actually very good because I got stuck behind 2 cars fighting, and I had to pass them as quickly as I could, but honestly I lost 1-3 seconds. That cost me the 3rd place, but it was really fun. Some crashes behind me I heard, but well done, and also to you guys as usual. Great stuff, great live stream, and keep it up with this amazing work.
Well, thank you very much, Alessandro Dalladone. Well done on your 4th place today in the German GT3s.
Thank you guys.
Okay, well, all that's left to say is with the Mazda MX-5s coming up later today, I'll be back for that, along with Sam Kumo on the cameras, and Dave Christie will be joining me in the comms box for what will be another frantic 3 races in the Mazda MX-5. Well, it's been a dominant display by all 3 of the championship leaders today in the IMSA series. Dustin Hickman, the championship leader in the Daytona Prototypes, taking the win in his class, along with Paul Ilbrink in the German GT3s. and Leonardo Corti in the rough C-Specs. Those three are definitely going to be tough to catch the rest of the season. My thanks to Sam Kumo on the cameras, and thanks for watching. And yeah, join us for the Mazda MX-5s later on. But from all of us here at the Nurburgring, it is a very warm good afternoon to you all.